I woke up one morning to find divorce papers on my pillow and a note that said I would never amount to anything without him. My name is Sarah Mitchell. I'm 32 years old, and this is the story of how I went from being told I wasn't worth a conversation to building an empire that made my ex-husband's so-called success look like pocket change. If you're going through something similar right now, stay with me, because what happened next changed everything. And if you're new here, please hit that subscribe button, because we're building something special together, and your support means the world to reaching our goal of 1,000 subscribers. It started on a Tuesday morning in Seattle. The rain was hammering against our bedroom window in that relentless Pacific Northwest way. The kind of rain that feels like it's washing away more than just the dirt on the streets. I reached across the bed out of habit, but Marcus's side was cold. He'd been sleeping in the guest room for 3 months by then, but I kept reaching anyway, kept hoping that maybe today would be different. That's what love does to you sometimes. It makes you hope even when hope has packed its bags and left town. I got up, wrapped myself in the gray cotton robe that had seen better days, and walked downstairs to our kitchen. Our house in Queen Anne was beautiful. I'll give Marcus that. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Puget Sound, marble countertops that cost more than most people's cars, and furniture that came with names I couldn't pronounce. But beautiful things don't keep you warm at night. Beautiful things don't tell you they love you. Beautiful things are just things. Marcus was already at the kitchen island, perfectly dressed in his navy Tom Ford suit, his dark hair slicked back in that way that made him look like every other finance guy in Seattle. He was scrolling through his phone, probably checking his stocks, probably checking anything that wasn't me. I poured myself coffee from the machine, the expensive kind he insisted on buying because regular coffee wasn't good enough for his refined palate. "Good morning," I said, trying to sound cheerful, trying to sound like a wife whose husband hadn't ignored her for weeks. He didn't look up. The silence stretched between us like a canyon, and I felt myself getting smaller in it. "Marcus, I was thinking maybe we could have dinner tonight, just the two of us. There's that new restaurant in Capitol Hill that—" "Sarah, stop." His voice was flat, emotionless, the way you'd tell a telemarketer you're not interested. He finally looked up from his phone and his gray eyes were cold. "I need to say something, and I need you to really hear me this time." He set his phone down with deliberate care, like he was about to deliver a business presentation. "From now on, I decide when we talk. I decide when we spend time together. Stop chasing me. Stop acting desperate. It's honestly pathetic." I felt the coffee mug slip in my hand, but I caught it before it fell. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. "What are you saying?" He stood up, buttoning his suit jacket with practiced precision. "I'm saying that I can't believe I lowered myself to marry you in the first place. You were never on my level, Sarah. You're not on my level now, and you never will be." He picked up his briefcase, checked his Rolex, and walked toward the door. Just before he left, he turned back. "Oh, and I'll be working late for the next few weeks. Don't wait up." The door closed with a soft click that felt like a gunshot. I stood there in my old robe, in his expensive kitchen, holding my cooling coffee, and I couldn't move. The rain kept falling outside. The world kept spinning, and I kept standing there like an idiot, trying to figure out where exactly everything had gone so wrong. We'd met 5 years ago at a charity gala downtown. I was working as a junior accountant at a mid-size firm, and I'd only gone because my boss had an extra ticket. Marcus was there representing his investment company, looking sharp and confident and completely out of my league. But he'd approached me. He'd smiled that smile that made me feel like I was the only person in the room. He'd asked about my work, seemed genuinely interested in my thoughts on financial regulations, and by the end of the night, I had his number and a belief that maybe fairy tales were real. The first year was magical. He took me to restaurants I couldn't afford, introduced me to his world of luxury and possibility, made me feel like Cinderella at the ball. My friends warned me. They said the way he corrected my grammar, the way he suggested different clothes, the way he always had to be right about everything, those were red flags. But I was in love, and love makes you blind to red flags. Love makes you think red flags are just quirky personality traits. We got married in a ceremony that cost more than my parents' house. His family barely acknowledged me. His mother actually asked me during the reception if I understood that I'd need to rise to Marcus's standards as his wife. I'd smiled and nodded and told myself it would get better. It didn't get better. After his words that Tuesday morning, I did something I should have done months ago. I stopped. I stopped texting him during the day. I stopped asking about his evening. I stopped trying to have conversations over breakfast. I stopped making dinner reservations for us. I stopped pretending that if I just tried hard enough, loved hard enough, diminished myself small enough, he would see me again the way he did when we first met. I just stopped. And you know what? He didn't even notice. Not at first. Days passed, then a week, then 2 weeks. I went to work, came home, ate dinner alone, went to bed. The silence in our house became comfortable instead of painful. I started sleeping better. I started eating better. I started remembering who I was before I became Marcus's disappointing wife. My job was at Henderson & Associates, a decent accounting firm in downtown Seattle. I'd been there for 7 years, slowly climbing the ladder, doing good work but never really pushing myself because Marcus always made it clear that my career was cute but not important. His hedge fund managed millions. My accounting work was, in his words, pedestrian. So I stayed small. I stayed in my lane. I didn't make waves. But during those 2 weeks of silence, something shifted in me. My boss, Patricia Henderson, called me into her office one afternoon. Patricia was in her 50s, sharp as a tack, with gray hair she wore proudly, and a no-nonsense attitude that I'd always admired from a distance. "Sarah, sit down." She gestured to the chair across from her desk. "I'm going to be direct with you because I think you can handle it. You're smart. Possibly the smartest analyst I have on my team. But for the past 2 years, you've been coasting. You do your work, you do it well, but you don't push. You don't take risks. You don't speak up in meetings even when I know you have something to say. What's going on?" I sat there, looking at this woman who had built her own firm from nothing, who commanded respect in every room she entered, and I felt something crack open inside me. "I think I forgot how to believe in myself," I said quietly. "If you're relating to this right now, I'd love it if you'd subscribe to the channel. We're working toward 1,000 subscribers, and every single one matters. Your click could be the one that helps us reach that goal." Patricia leaned back in her chair. "I'm going to make you an offer. We have a potential client, a tech startup that needs someone to completely overhaul their financial structure. It's complicated, it's high pressure, and if we land them, it could be huge for this firm. I want you to lead the pitch." My heart started racing. Me, Patricia, I've never led a pitch before. What about Tom or Jennifer? They have more experience with... I don't want Tom or Jennifer. I want you, but only if you want it. Only if you're ready to stop playing small. She looked at me with those sharp eyes. "Sarah, I hired you 7 years ago because I saw something in you. But somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing it in yourself. This is your chance to remember." I left her office shaking. That night, Marcus didn't come home at all. He texted at 11 p.m. saying he was staying at a hotel near the office because he had an early meeting. I looked at that text, and instead of feeling hurt or rejected, I felt relief. I pulled out my laptop and started researching the startup. They were called Next Gen Solutions, a company developing AI-driven financial planning tools for small businesses. The work they were doing was innovative, and their founder, Rebecca Cheng, had an impressive background in both tech and finance. I spent the entire night building the pitch. I analyzed their current financial structure, identified inefficiencies, created projections for growth, and developed a comprehensive plan for how Henderson and Associates could not just manage their accounting, but become a strategic partner in their expansion. By the time the sun came up, painting the Seattle skyline in shades of pink and gold, I had something I was actually proud of. The pitch meeting was scheduled for the following Thursday. I practiced my presentation obsessively. I practiced in the mirror, in the car, in my office with the door closed. Marcus came home a few times that week, but we barely spoke. He'd look at me like I was a piece of furniture that he was considering replacing. I'd look at him like he was a stranger wearing my husband's face. The distance between us had grown so vast that we needed a map to find each other, and neither of us was looking. Thursday arrived with typical Seattle weather, gray and drizzling, the sky the color of disappointment. I wore my best suit, a charcoal gray ensemble that I'd bought on sale, but that fit perfectly. I'd gotten my hair done the day before, and for the first time in months when I looked in the mirror, I recognized myself. The meeting was in a sleek conference room at NextGen Solutions' office in South Lake Union. Rebecca Cheng was there with her CFO and 2 other executives. They were professional but skeptical. Henderson and Associates was a solid firm, but we weren't the biggest name in town. They were meeting with us as a courtesy, really. I could see it in their faces. Patricia introduced me and stepped back. This was my moment. I took a deep breath and started talking. And something amazing happened. I didn't just recite my presentation. I connected with them. I explained their financial challenges in a way that showed I genuinely understood their business. I presented solutions that were creative but practical. I answered their tough questions with confidence. When Rebecca pushed back on one of my projections, instead of folding, I defended my analysis while acknowledging her concerns and offering alternatives. I was good. Maybe I'd always been good. Maybe I'd just forgotten. The meeting ran an hour longer than scheduled. When it ended, Rebecca shook my hand and said, "We'll be in touch." But there was something in her smile that gave me hope. Patricia and I walked out of that building into the drizzle, and she turned to me. "That was exceptional, Sarah. That was the person I hired 7 years ago. Welcome back." 2 days later, we got the call. NextGen Solutions wanted to move forward with Henderson and Associates, and they specifically requested that I be the lead on their account. It was the biggest client I'd ever managed. Patricia called me into her office again. "This account is going to require more hours, more responsibility, and more visibility. It also comes with a significant raise and a promotion to senior financial analyst. Congratulations." I floated home that evening. For the first time in years, I had something that was entirely mine, an achievement that had nothing to do with being Marcus's wife. I wanted to celebrate. I wanted to share this moment with someone. But when I got home, the house was empty and dark. Marcus came home around 9 p.m. I was in the living room, sipping wine and looking over the contract for my new position. He walked past me without a word, heading straight for the stairs. "Marcus." My voice was steady. "I got a promotion today, and a major new client." He stopped on the 3rd stair, turned around slowly. "That's nice," he said, in a tone that made it clear it wasn't nice at all. "Don't let it go to your head. It's still just accounting." And he continued up the stairs. Something hardened in me that night. Something that had been soft and hoping and trying finally turned to stone. I looked around at this beautiful house that had never felt like home, at this life that looked perfect from the outside but was rotting from within, and I made a decision. But I didn't act on it immediately. I've learned that the best decisions are made with a cool head and a clear plan. Before we continue, if you're finding value in this story, please click that subscribe button. We're building a community here, and your subscription helps us grow. Every single subscriber counts as we work toward our goal of 1,000. It just takes one click on that red button. Over the next 3 months, I threw myself into work with an intensity I'd never felt before. The NextGen Solutions account was challenging and time-consuming, but it was also thrilling. Rebecca and I developed a strong working relationship built on mutual respect. She saw me as a competent professional, not as someone's disappointing wife. With her company as a flagship client, other tech startups started reaching out to Henderson and Associates. They wanted the person who understood both the financial complexities of scaling a business and the unique challenges of the tech world. Patricia noticed my transformation. In July, she called me into her office again. "I'm making you a partner," she said without preamble. 20% equity, full voting rights, your name on the door. You've earned it, Sarah. You've brought in 3 major clients in 3 months, and you've revolutionized how we approach the tech sector. What do you say? I said yes. Obviously, I said yes. At 32 years old, I was going to be a partner at a successful accounting firm. My salary would triple. My name would be on the door. Sarah Mitchell, partner. It felt surreal and absolutely right at the same time. I signed the partnership agreement on a Friday afternoon in late July. The sun was actually shining in Seattle, which felt like the universe was congratulating me. I drove home with the windows down, feeling the wind in my hair, feeling alive in a way I hadn't felt in years. I found myself thinking about my future for the first time in forever. Not our future. My future. And it looked bright. Marcus was in the living room when I got home, which was unusual. He was usually at the office until 8 or 9. He looked up when I came in, and there was something different in his expression. Something almost uncertain. "We need to talk," he said. Those 4 words that never mean anything good. I set down my bag, still riding the high from the afternoon, and sat across from him. "Okay, let's talk." He shifted in his seat, and I realized with some surprise that he looked uncomfortable. Marcus never looked uncomfortable. He always looked in control, superior, untouchable. "I've been doing some thinking," he started, "about us, about our marriage. I think I may have been too harsh, too distant. I want to work on things. I want us to try again." I stared at him. "You want to try again?" I repeated flatly. "After telling me I was never on your level, after ignoring me for months, after treating me like I was an inconvenience in your life? I was stressed with work. You know how demanding my job is. I took it out on you, and that wasn't fair. But we can get past this. We can go to counseling. We can take a trip. Reconnect. What do you say?" I looked at this man I'd loved for 5 years, this man I'd married, this man I'd made myself small for, and I felt nothing. No anger, no hurt, no love, just nothing. "Why now, Marcus? Why do you suddenly want to work on our marriage now?" He reached for my hand. I pulled it away. "Because I miss you," he said, and there might have been actual emotion in his voice. "I miss having you around. The house feels empty. I feel empty." And then it clicked. I'd been so focused on my work, so focused on rebuilding myself, that I hadn't noticed what was happening around me. "When did you find out?" I asked quietly. "Find out what?" "About my partnership, about my new salary, about the fact that I'm not your little junior accountant anymore. When did you find out?" His face changed. There it was. "Sarah, that's not what this is about." "When, Marcus?" He ran his hand through his hair, looking away. "David mentioned it last week. His wife works with someone who works at your firm. He congratulated me on your success. Said I must be proud." There it was. The truth. He didn't miss me. He missed having a wife he could feel superior to. He missed having someone beneath him to make him feel big. Now that I was succeeding, now that I was rising, he wanted to pull me back down. Or maybe, even worse, he wanted to ride my coattails. If you're going through something similar and this story is resonating with you, I'd be so grateful if you'd subscribe. We're almost at 1,000 subscribers and your support makes all the difference. Just click that subscribe button below. "Get out," I said softly. "Get out of this house." "Sarah, be reasonable. This is my house. I bought this house. Actually, this is our house. We're married. Community property, remember? I want you out by tomorrow, or I'm filing for divorce and letting the lawyers sort out who goes where." He stood up, and there was the Marcus I knew, the one with ice in his veins. "You're making a huge mistake. You think your little promotion makes you somebody. You're still the same girl I found at that gala 5 years ago. You're nothing without me." "Then you should be happy to let me go," I said, standing to face him. "Because if I'm nothing, then losing me shouldn't matter." "Goodbye, Marcus." He left that night, packed a bag and went to his hotel, the one he'd been staying at more than home anyway. I walked through the empty house, and it didn't feel empty. It felt peaceful. I poured myself a glass of wine, sat on the deck overlooking the water, and watched the sun set over Seattle. The sky was on fire with oranges and pinks and purples, and I felt like I was watching the old Sarah burn away to make room for someone new. The divorce was ugly. Marcus fought me on everything, trying to prove that my recent success was somehow because of him, that I owed my partnership to connections he'd provided. It was laughable and insulting. Patricia even had to write a formal letter explaining that my partnership was based entirely on my own merit and client acquisitions. In the end, we split everything 50-50. I got enough money from the house sale to put a down payment on a beautiful condo in Capitol Hill with views of the Space Needle. It was mine, all mine, my sanctuary. Work continued to flourish. By October, I'd brought in 2 more major clients. Henderson and Associates rebranded to Henderson and Mitchell Financial Partners. Seeing my name up there, in brass letters on the door, gave me a thrill every single day. Rebecca from Next Gen Solutions became not just a client, but a friend. She told me once over coffee, "You know what I admire about you? You're not afraid to bet on yourself anymore. That's rare." But the real turning point came in November, almost exactly a year after Marcus had told me I'd never be on his level. Rebecca called me into a meeting with her full executive team. "We're preparing for a Series B funding round," she explained. "We're expecting to raise $50 million, and we're going to scale aggressively. We need someone who can manage not just our accounting, but our entire financial strategy going forward. Someone who understands our vision and can grow with us. We want you to come in as our CFO." I sat there, stunned. "Your CFO?" "Rebecca, I'm an accountant. I'm not a tech executive. You're a financial strategist who understands our business better than anyone outside this company. You're creative, you're brilliant, and you're hungry. Those are the qualities I need. Plus, we're offering equity. Significant equity. If this company does what I think it's going to do, that equity will be worth millions." I took the weekend to think about it. It was a huge risk. I'd just made partner. I was finally stable and successful. Taking a CFO position at a startup, even a well-funded one, meant leaving that stability behind. But it also meant betting on myself in a way I never had before. Patricia was disappointed but understanding when I told her. "Go," she said. "Go and show them what you're capable of. And when you need financial consulting, you know where to find me." I started at Next Gen Solutions in December. The energy was completely different from a traditional accounting firm. Everyone was young, driven, passionate about what they were building. The office had exposed brick, standing desks, and a coffee bar that served better lattes than most Seattle cafes. I had a team of 5 people reporting to me, and my office had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Lake Union. I was terrified and exhilarated in equal measure. The work was intense. I was learning on the fly, making decisions that affected the trajectory of the entire company, working 16-hour days and loving almost every minute of it. But I was also finally using my full potential. Rebecca trusted me to think big, to take calculated risks, to be strategic rather than just reactive. In January, we closed our Series B round. $52 million. I'd played a crucial role in preparing the financials and pitch materials that convinced investors we were worth betting on. Make sure you're subscribed if you're enjoying this journey. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love to have you as part of this community. Just hit that red subscribe button and join us. With the new funding, we expanded rapidly. We opened offices in San Francisco and Austin. We hired aggressively, bringing in top talent from across the tech industry. My equity stake, which had seemed like a nice bonus, started to look increasingly valuable as the company's valuation climbed. By March, we were being written about in TechCrunch and GeekWire as one of the hottest fintech startups in the Pacific Northwest. And by May, just 6 months after I'd joined, we got an acquisition offer. A major financial services company wanted to buy NextGen Solutions for $300 million. $300 million. Rebecca called an emergency board meeting. We sat around the conference table, her core team, and discussed whether to sell or keep building. Rebecca looked at me. What do you think, Sarah? You're our financial lead. What does your gut say? I looked at the projections I'd been working on for weeks. I think we're worth more than $300 million. I think if we hold out, if we keep executing, we could be worth $1 billion in 3 years. But that's the risky play. $300 million is life-changing money for everyone in this room. It's the safe play. But you're saying pass on the safe play, Rebecca said. It wasn't a question. I'm saying I didn't leave a partnership at a stable firm to play it safe. I'm saying I believe in what we're building, but it's not just my decision. We voted. It was unanimous. We turned down the $300 million and kept building. Some people thought we were insane. The local business press certainly did, but we knew something they didn't. We knew we were onto something special. That decision changed everything. The publicity from turning down such a large offer brought even more attention to NextGen Solutions. Bigger clients started reaching out. Bigger investors wanted in on our next funding round. By August, less than a year after I'd joined the company, we closed a Series C round that valued the company at $800 million. My equity stake, which I'd been granted at a much lower valuation, was now worth somewhere in the neighborhood of $40 million. On paper, at least. $40 million. I still couldn't quite process it. The irony wasn't lost on me. A year ago, my husband had told me I'd never be on his level. Now I was worth more on paper than he'd probably make in his entire career. But you know what? It wasn't about him. It had stopped being about him the moment I'd stopped letting his opinion define my worth. This was about me proving something to myself. About me stepping into the person I was always capable of being. Life settled into a new normal. I moved from my Capitol Hill condo into a stunning modern home in Madison Park, with lake views that took my breath away every morning. I hired a personal trainer and started taking care of my body the way I'd been taking care of my career. I reconnected with friends I'd lost touch with during my marriage. Women who reminded me that I'd always been strong. I'd just forgotten for a while. I traveled for work, stayed in nice hotels, ate at restaurants without checking the prices first. I was living a life I'd never imagined possible. And then, on a Tuesday afternoon in September, 2 years after Marcus had told me to stop chasing him, he showed up at my office. My assistant buzzed me. "Sarah, there's a Marcus Mitchell here to see you. He says he's your husband." Former husband, I thought, but didn't correct her. "I don't have him on my calendar. He says it's urgent. He seems upset." I almost told her to send him away, but curiosity got the better of me. "Fine. Give me 5 minutes, then send him in." I used those 5 minutes to finish an email, check my appearance in the small mirror on my wall, and center myself. When Marcus walked in, I was ready. If you've been with me this whole journey, please subscribe if you haven't already. Your subscription helps more people find these stories and helps us reach our goal. It means the world to me and to this channel. He looked different. Older, somehow. The confidence that used to radiate from him had dimmed. He stood in the doorway of my office, taking in the space, the view, the evidence of my success, and I saw something I'd never seen before. I saw him realize that I'd meant what I said, that I didn't need him, that I'd not only survived without him, but thrived. "Sarah." His voice was softer than I remembered. "You look amazing. This office is incredible. I heard about the Series C. Congratulations." "What do you want, Marcus?" I didn't invite him to sit. I didn't offer coffee. I didn't pretend we were friends. "I want to talk. I've been thinking a lot about us, about how things ended. I made mistakes, big mistakes. I didn't see what I had until it was gone. I'm asking for another chance." I leaned back in my chair, genuinely puzzled. "Why would I give you another chance? What exactly would you bring to my life that I don't already have?" He moved further into the room. "We were good together once. We could be good together again. Better than before. I was intimidated by you, I see that now. I put you down because I was scared you'd outgrow me. And I was right to be scared. Because look at you now." He gestured around. "You're incredible." "I was always incredible, Marcus. You just couldn't see it. And now that I'm successful in a way you can't ignore, suddenly you can? That's not love. That's ego." "It's not about ego. I love you." "No, you don't." I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at the lake. "You love the idea of being with someone successful. You love being able to tell people your wife is the CFO of a unicorn startup. You love what I represent now. But you never loved me." I turned back to him. "Do you remember what you said to me? That you couldn't believe you'd lowered yourself to marry me? That I was never on your level?" He had the grace to look ashamed. I was angry. I was dealing with a lot of stress at work and... "Stop. Don't make excuses. You meant every word. And you know what? You were right. I wasn't on your level." I saw him start to interrupt, but I held up my hand. "I wasn't on your level because I was above it. I just didn't know it yet. You did me a favor, Marcus. You showed me exactly who you were, and you gave me the push I needed to remember who I am." "So that's it? We're just done?" "We've been done for 2 years. This is just you finally accepting it." I walked back to my desk, picked up my phone, made it clear the meeting was over. "I have a 2:00. You should go." He stood there for a long moment, and I could see him struggling with the reality that he couldn't charm or manipulate or intimidate his way back into my life. Finally, he nodded. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Sarah." "I already have," I said. "I found myself." After he left, I sat at my desk and breathed. Really breathed. It felt like the final chapter of that old story was closing. The story of Sarah who made herself small. The story of Sarah who thought love meant shrinking. That Sarah was gone. In her place was someone I was proud to be. Someone who took up space. Someone who knew her worth. The next few months were a whirlwind. Next-gen solutions continued to grow at an almost alarming pace. We were hiring 50 people a month. We were expanding internationally. The product was gaining serious traction, and the AI tools we'd developed were being adopted by thousands of small businesses. Rebecca and I worked side by side through it all, 2 women building something that mattered, something that helped people. It was exhausting and fulfilling, and everything I'd never known I wanted. In December, exactly 3 years after Marcus had told me I wasn't on his level, we got another acquisition offer. This time from one of the biggest players in financial services. They wanted to buy next-gen solutions for $2.4 billion. Billion with a B. Rebecca called the board meeting. We all sat around that same conference table, but everything was different now. We were different. We'd built something extraordinary. "Thoughts?" Rebecca asked after the lawyers had presented the offer. I looked at my projections, at the market analysis, at everything we'd accomplished. "I think we take it," I said. "I think we've built something valuable, something that will continue to grow and help people under their umbrella." And I think $2.4 billion represents fair value for what we've created. Everyone agreed. We accepted the offer. The deal closed in February. My equity stake was worth $92 million. $92 million. After taxes, I'd clear somewhere around $60 million. From being told I was nothing, from being made to feel worthless, to having more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. But the money wasn't even the best part. The best part was knowing I'd bet on myself and won. The acquisition made headlines. Local startup acquired for $2.4 billion, read the Seattle Times. There was a photo of Rebecca and me shaking hands with the acquiring company's CEO. My phone exploded with messages. Old colleagues congratulating me. Friends asking me to celebrate. Patricia sending a text that just said, "I always knew." But the message I remember most was from my mom. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Not because of the money, but because you found your strength. Love you." I stayed on with the acquiring company as a vice president of strategic finance for 6 months, helping with the transition, making sure the next-gen solutions team was taken care of, ensuring the product we'd built continued to serve the customers who depended on it. But by August, I was ready for something new. I'd proven I could succeed in the corporate world. Now I wanted to see what else I could do. Before I share what happened next, I need to ask you to subscribe if you haven't yet. We're building toward 1,000 subscribers, and every single one helps. Your support means everything, so please click that subscribe button now. I started my own venture capital firm focused on investing in female-founded companies and underrepresented founders in the tech space. I'd seen firsthand how hard it was for people who didn't fit the traditional mold to get funding, to get taken seriously. I wanted to use my success to open doors for others the way Patricia had opened doors for me, the way Rebecca had believed in me. I called it Mitchell Ventures, and I committed $20 million of my own money to the fund. The first company I invested in was founded by a young woman from Nigeria who developed an incredible fintech solution for the African market. The second was 2 Black men from Atlanta working on AI-driven healthcare diagnostics. The third was a non-binary founder building educational technology for neurodiverse learners. I wasn't just writing checks. I was mentoring, advising, opening my network. I was paying forward every opportunity I'd been given. A year into running Mitchell Ventures, I was invited to speak at a conference for women in finance. The conference was at a hotel downtown, and as I was preparing backstage, reviewing my notes one last time, someone tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around, and there was Marcus. "I'm speaking at the same conference," he explained. "Different track. I saw your name on the schedule and wanted to say hello." He looked at me with something that might have been regret. "I've been following your success. It's impressive. Really impressive." "Thank you," I said simply. There was no anger anymore, no hurt, just a distant memory of a person I used to be. "How have you been?" "Honestly, not great. The fund I was working for closed down. Market conditions, bad bets, the usual story. I've been consulting, trying to figure out what's next." He shoved his hands in his pockets. "I think about that day in your office sometimes. About what you said. You were right. I didn't see you. I didn't appreciate you. I let the best thing in my life walk away because I was too proud and too stupid to recognize what I had. We weren't right for each other, Marcus. We probably never were. I needed to be with someone who made me bigger, not smaller. And you needed to be with someone who made you feel superior. Neither of those things was healthy. You've really changed," he said. "Or maybe you haven't. Maybe this was always you, and I just couldn't see it." "It was always me," I confirmed. "I just forgot for a while. But I remembered. That's what matters." My name was called. It was time for my talk. I gave Marcus a polite nod and walked onto the stage. The room was filled with hundreds of women, all there to learn, to network, to grow. I looked out at them, and I saw myself 5 years ago. Unsure, searching, hoping someone would give them permission to be great. "Good morning," I started. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I want to tell you about the day I stopped making myself small. And I told them my story, not to shame Marcus, not to brag about my success, but to show them that transformation is possible, that believing in yourself isn't selfish or arrogant, that you don't need anyone's permission to be extraordinary. You just need to remember that you already are. The response was overwhelming. Women came up to me afterward with tears in their eyes, telling me their own stories of being diminished, of being told they weren't enough. I exchanged numbers and email addresses. I promised to stay in touch, to help where I could, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to reach back and pull others up with us. Today, I'm 35 years old. I live in a beautiful home that I bought with my own money. I run a venture capital firm that's changing lives and funding innovation. I have a circle of friends who celebrate my success instead of feeling threatened by it. I travel when I want, eat what I want, wear what I want, speak my mind, take up space, and refuse to apologize for any of it. My calendar is full of meetings with brilliant founders. My portfolio is full of companies that are making the world better. My life is full of purpose and joy and the kind of peace that comes from knowing exactly who you are. Last month, I got an email from Marcus. He'd started his own consulting firm and wanted to know if I'd consider investing. I read the email twice, and then I wrote back, I appreciate you thinking of me, but I don't think it's a good fit for my portfolio. I wish you the best of luck. And I meant it. I don't harbor any ill will toward him. He was who he was, and I was who I was. We both needed to go our separate ways for me to become who I am now. Sometimes late at night, when I'm sitting on my deck with a glass of wine, looking at the Seattle skyline lit up against the dark sky, I think about that Tuesday morning 3 years ago. The morning Marcus told me I wasn't on his level. And I think about how right he was, just not in the way he meant. I wasn't on his level. I was above it. I just needed someone to break my heart enough that I'd finally stand up and remember my own strength. If there's anything I want you to take from my story, it's this. When someone tells you that you're not enough, they're really telling you about their own limitations, not yours. When someone tries to make you small, it's because your bigness threatens them. When someone walks away from you, let them go. Because the right people won't walk away. The right people will see you, all of you, and they'll celebrate it instead of trying to dim it. And please, if this story has meant something to you, subscribe to the channel. We're so close to 1,000 subscribers, and I'd love to have you as part of this community as we continue to share stories of transformation and strength. You are not defined by anyone's inability to see your value. You are not limited by anyone's narrow imagination of who you could be. You are exactly as extraordinary as you believe yourself to be. It took me 32 years and a broken marriage to learn that lesson, but once I learned it, everything changed. My story isn't unique. There are thousands of women and men out there right now who are being told they're not enough, who are making themselves small to fit into someone else's idea of who they should be, who are waiting for permission to be great. If you're one of those people, hear me when I say this. You don't need permission. You never did. You just need to remember who you are when no one is watching. You need to remember the dreams you had before someone told you they were too big. You need to remember that the only person's approval you need is your own. I'm not going to pretend it was easy. There were nights I cried myself to sleep. There were moments I doubted everything. There were times I wanted to give up, to go back, to make myself small again because being big is scary and uncomfortable and leaves you exposed. But I didn't. I kept going. I kept believing. I kept working. And slowly, day by day, I built a life that I'm proud of. A life that fits me. A life that makes me happy. If you're at the beginning of your journey, if you're standing where I was 3 years ago, here's my advice. Start small. Take one tiny step toward believing in yourself. Apply for that job you think you're not qualified for. Start that business you've been dreaming about. Leave that relationship that makes you feel worthless. Speak up in that meeting. Say no to something that doesn't serve you. Say yes to something that scares you. Take that first step, and then take another, and another. Before you know it, you'll look back and realize you've climbed a mountain. Surround yourself with people who see your potential and call it forth. Patricia saw something in me that I couldn't see in myself, and she refused to let me stay small. Rebecca believed in me enough to take a risk on me. Find your Patricias and Rebeccas, and equally important, be a Patricia and Rebecca for someone else. Use your success, whatever that looks like, to lift others up. Don't measure your worth by your bank account or your job title or your relationship status. I'm not successful because I made millions of dollars. I'm successful because I remembered my own value. The money is nice, don't get me wrong. It provides security and freedom and opportunities. But it's not what makes me proud. What makes me proud is that I bet on myself. What makes me proud is that I didn't give up. What makes me proud is that I transformed pain into power. And here's something they don't tell you about success. It doesn't erase the hurt. It doesn't make the past disappear. There are still days when I remember something Marcus said, and it stings. There are still moments when I doubt myself, when I wonder if I'm good enough, when I feel like an imposter in my own life. But those moments are fleeting now. They don't define my days anymore. They're just weather passing through, and I've learned to weather the storm. Please subscribe to support this channel and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Your click matters more than you know. Just hit that subscribe button below and join this amazing community. I've also learned that success doesn't mean you have to do it alone. I have a therapist I see twice a month. I have a business coach who keeps me accountable. I have friends who check on me when I'm overwhelmed. I have a community of founders and investors and women in business who understand the unique challenges we face. Building a support system isn't weakness, it's wisdom. And I've learned that transformation isn't a destination, it's a practice. Every day, I have to choose to show up as the person I want to be. Some days, that's easy. Some days it's hard. But the choice is always mine. That's the real freedom. Not the money, not the success, not the revenge body or the impressive job title. The real freedom is knowing that I get to choose who I am, every single day. Last week I had lunch with Rebecca. Next Gen Solutions is thriving under its new ownership, still changing lives, still innovating. We talked about the early days, about how scared we both were sometimes, about how we almost didn't take the risks that changed everything. You know what I think about sometimes? Rebecca said. I think about how easily this could have not happened. If you hadn't taken that first pitch, if we hadn't worked so well together, if either of us had played it safe, we almost missed this. But we didn't, I reminded her. We didn't play it safe. We bet on each other. We bet on ourselves. And we won. That's the thing about transformation. It's not inevitable. It's not guaranteed. You have to choose it. You have to fight for it. You have to believe in it, even when no one else does. And sometimes, you have to lose everything you thought you wanted to gain everything you didn't know you needed. I don't know what happens next in my story. Mitchell Ventures is growing, and I'm looking at some exciting new opportunities. I'm considering writing a book about my experience. I'm mentoring several young women who remind me of myself at their age. I'm dating someone new. Someone who thinks my ambition is sexy instead of threatening. Someone who celebrates my success instead of competing with it. I'm learning what it feels like to be with someone who makes me bigger instead of smaller. It's terrifying and wonderful, and everything I didn't know I deserved. But whatever happens next, I know one thing for certain. I will never make myself small again. I will never dim my light to make someone else comfortable. I will never apologize for being successful, or smart, or ambitious, or powerful. I will never wait for permission to be extraordinary. And I hope you won't either. To the person listening to this who's in a relationship that makes them feel worthless, you deserve better. You deserve someone who sees you. Leave. It will be hard, but staying is harder. To the person who's been told they're not smart enough or talented enough or worthy enough, they're wrong. You are enough. You've always been enough. Stop waiting for someone else to tell you that. To the person who's scared to take the next big step in their career or their life, do it scared. Do it messy. Do it imperfectly. But do it. The regret of not trying is worse than the pain of failure. To the person who's wondering if it's too late to change, to transform, to become who they were meant to be, it's not too late. I was 32 when my life fell apart. I was 33 when I became a partner. I was 34 when I became a multimillionaire. I was 35 when I finally learned to love myself. It's never too late. And if you're still watching, if this story has touched you, if you've stayed with me this whole time, please subscribe. We're building something special here. A community of people who refuse to stay small, and I'd love for you to be part of it. Just click that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds and means the world. My name is Sarah Mitchell. 3 years ago, my husband told me I would never be on his level. Today, I have a level he couldn't even dream of reaching. Not because I'm better than him, not because I wanted revenge, but because I finally stopped letting someone else define my worth. I stopped waiting for permission to be great. I stopped making myself small, and I started becoming who I was always meant to be. You can do the same. You can start right now. You can choose yourself. You can bet on yourself. You can remember that you are not who they said you were. You are who you know yourself to be. And that person, the real you, the you that exists underneath all the doubt and fear and pain, that person is extraordinary. That person is capable of amazing things. That person is enough, more than enough. That person is everything. So here's my final question for you. What would you do if you stopped making yourself small? What would you build? Where would you go? Who would you become? Don't answer me. Answer yourself, and then go do it. Go be it. Go build that life. Because you deserve it. You've always deserved it. It's time you started believing that. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. Thank you for reminding me why I share these experiences. If this resonated with you, please like this video, leave a comment telling me your story, and subscribe to join our community. We're in this together, and together we're unstoppable.